I almost hate to get into this because I know I get into my soapbox really easy, but there's a whole big thing that happened recently over the Confederate flag, and Apple went crazy, absolutely dumping every single game that had anything to do with the Confederate flag off their system. And thankfully, they got some of those overturned because they were Civil War historical strategy games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already been all over the internet that it's easier to get stuff from Nazis and ISIS than it is the Confederate flag, and that is ridiculous. What happened to free speech in this country? Now, don't get me wrong, taking it off the state flag, I'm not against that. That's where the government has some say-so. But the social justice stuff about absolutely removing everything that has to do with it,
Insanity. It's ridiculous.
It doesn't matter how a person feels about something or if somebody's offended by something, that's why you shy away from it. If you want to boycott something like that, go ahead, but I don't think Apple was in any worry about getting threatened by millions of people if they kept a bunch of games that had Confederate flag on it.
I'm agreeing with you. It's silly. You want to make fun of the flag, which I have done, by all means. If you want to insult people that like the flag, by all means. But don't tell them, if it's not on a state place, that they can't use it, because that's where you draw the line, like, oh, hell no. No way.
And probably the worst offense of the stupidity that I've heard yet, and I'm assuming it's TV Land, I don't know if who else would be still running it, but they canceled the reruns of Dukes of Hazzard because the car has the battle flag on top.
Oh my god.
How ridiculous have we gotten as a society where we can let open racists in our politics and our schools, but then get absolutely freaked out over a flag on a TV show made 30 years ago?
A flag. Literally, yeah. It makes no sense to me. What is wrong with our country?
I don't know. And then you have the thing about the Legend of Zelda game that they were working on, and how, was it IGN, that one of their guys got on there and was kind of condemning them because they weren't allowing female characters, as playable characters, that is. Let these people make the games how they want to make them.
Yeah.
I happen to know a lot of female Zelda fans, that is Legend of Zelda fans, who don't have any problem playing as Link. Over the weekend, I have seen 3 different tournaments where people were going nuts over Smash Brothers. And you know who most of these people were? Black guys. Can you name me one black person in the entire roster of Super Smash Brothers? They are not represented in that game in the least. And yet they love the game. So,
I don't hear any complaints from, even I don't complain about it, I just don't play it.
Most of the people complaining about this is people who don't even play video games.
Yeah,
and that's
most of the SJWs.
And I've actually seen the research on that. The Gamers Are Dead articles that came out that kind of helped bolster Gamergate into what it was. The original paper on that everybody was quoting actually said as much. That gamers don't have to identify with who they're playing as. If it's a blue hedgehog, so be it. If it's a white muscly dude, so be it. They can enjoy the game either way. They don't have to be...
the devil himself, so be it.
There's been those too, yeah. You don't have to be the exact character in the video game, otherwise everything's going to have a creative mode with characters that do not fit in the universes that they were designed for.
Exactly. They must be correct on everything has become beyond absurd.
Yeah, I know I'd be a little soapboxy today because of that, but that's also because that's about all that's happened this week.
Yeah, very little has happened. I mean, I've been watching. There's not much. It's the E3 after quietness.
Pretty much. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff like the Metroid Prime Federation Force thing. I don't know too much about that game. I understand it's a multiplayer game, so it doesn't even have Samus in it. It's a little soccer sports type game with a bunch of people in power armor. So I think there were some people that got really ticked off about that this shouldn't even be a Metroid game and all that type of stuff. There was the thing about Fallout Shelter with the pregnant women in it being hysterical. But anytime that there's an invasion or of wastelanders or these red brooch things, that they freak out and run away in a panic. And there's a lot of people saying that's sexist because they should be there shooting along with everybody else.
Only the pregnant ones, right?
Only the pregnant ones. The other women
they're terrified?
When you're making a game that is not exactly nuanced for character-specific stuff, they just have stats. They don't have anything else. So, think of it this way. Would you rather have a video game where the chances of being that procreation is so important in Fallout because there's hardly anybody left, you're trying to rebuild the species, are you going to use one of your greatest resources, and I'm sorry if that's objectifying women to say that, but that is exactly what it is, resource, on the front lines when somebody else could be doing that, protecting basically 2 people instead of 1. So your game mechanic is going to get them out of the way into safety, women and children first. This is something we've lived by for several thousand years. I don't know, I don't see that as sexist as so much as a minor representation of protecting resources.
Yeah, it's in the Fallout vaults, that's exactly, unless you're one of the torture vaults, and yeah, I don't know, you're probably screwed, but if you're in the normal vaults that didn't have testing, which believe it or not, those exist, then yeah, a pregnant person would be your highest priority. They must be protected at all costs. So yeah, I don't get it.
But I can see that as being objectified, but everybody in a game that has things like resources and stat bars is going to be objectified, so... I mean, you're going to put your biggest, toughest warriors out to the battlefield, right? You're not going to have them back cooking the dinners and watching the storage room, right? And it doesn't matter what the gender is, it's your biggest, toughest warriors, unless you're trying to level somebody else up. I don't know if that's how that works in Fallout Shelter or not, the more combat they get,
I haven't played it.
But anyway, it just seems more common sense to me than politics.
That's just it. They're all trying to make everything into politics. They psychoanalyze everything to pieces. Fortunately, we got people that are just slamming them into the ground every single time they do something stupid now.
Especially when they get caught lying about something. But
yeah, it's always fun.
And I guess along those same lines, Reddit kind of went into another tailspin tornado again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the full story behind this, but apparently there was an AMA that one of their most popular Reddit editors or moderators, I think she's actually part of staff, not just a volunteer moderator, because she was actually fired.
She was an
administrator. And she was extremely popular. A lot of people just loved her to death. And from what I understand from the rumor mill is that Jesse Jackson apparently had an AMA, and it was her job to confirm that this was the real Jesse Jackson. And considering some of the stuff that he was saying was so really off the wall, and the fact that he was answering questions from apparently prepared statements other than what people were actually asking, so they weren't even sure that they were talking to the real person. And apparently the controversy and whatever happened behind the scenes was so large that this lady got fired. I don't know how many exactly, but I know there was at least 36 mainstream Reddits that went private in protest for her firing. So I don't know if there was any wrongdoing that she accidentally did. I don't know if it was the real Jesse Jackson or not. I haven't seen any of the posts, and I'm not sure I'd know it if I did see it because he's kind of a whack job. I'm sorry if anybody loves Jesse Jackson, but he's one of those...
lunatic.
He's a racist nut, but I don't know. Ever since Ellen Powell got a hold of Reddit, and I think anybody who actually knew who that person was and the controversy that she pulled over that whole sexism and the Silicon Valley lawsuit thing that absolutely got thrown out. I think there was only one of the entirety of the charges that may have had any credit whatsoever. She had no evidence, and she tried to make it look like she was some Joan of Arc, that she was getting toasted by the boys club mentality and all this type of stuff, and that's kind of how the media portrayed it too, when actually there was no evidence for any of the sexism that she claimed. Matter of fact,
she lost completely.
She did, and the companies are actually suing her now for the damages to their reputation, which defamation was certainly involved. And I wish they'd get more of these people to do this type of stuff for defamation. Any of these false reports, I actually think any false report that is proven to be a false report should actually serve fines and jail time automatically.
I completely agree.
And we would see a lot less of this kind of crap happen in any sphere.
They try to say that they don't want to do that because it'll make people that have real reports not want to because they're afraid it'll be considered false, which I scream bullshit.
I could see some people getting really nervous about that type of thing. I mean, look at what we've done to some of the past people, like Edward Snowden. That dude's on the run for that sort of thing. Of course, what he did was pretty, I mean, yes, the American people deserve to know a lot of that stuff, but some of that stuff put a lot of lives at risk, and that is a form of traitorism. So it's kind of
putting things at risk right now still.
Yeah, it's a little mix of good and evil.
I mean, what he did was good, but he did it in a 007 fashion, which is something all countries do not like. They all frown upon. Like, it's another example of our societies.
I guess that's what the July 4th is for me this year. It's all the ridiculousness of politics.
Yeah.
Go America. Let's blow stuff up.
This 4th of July is, I hate to say it, I'm not that really interested.
No, I'm not feeling very patriotic. I haven't in a while, but especially this year. Things have just fallen so far.
I know I've got family members of the Army, and they'll probably get pissed if they heard this, but I haven't been more ashamed of my country than I don't think I've ever been before.
Doesn't mean I don't, support the people who still fight the good fight.
Yeah.
If that's military or government. There's some decent politicians. I may have never seen them or met them, but I know they're out there. Otherwise, things would be a lot worse than they are.
I support soldiers, but they're fighting for a bunch of morons right now.
So
if we disappear next week...
Yeah. It was probably some black vans and silent helicopters picking us up. Wow.
Unfortunately, I'm on a keto diet, so waterboarding will be pretty good for me.
Oh, there you go.
All the water I'll ever need.
So, that was our weird rants for the week. If you agree with us, disagree with us, feel free to comment. Try to understand where we're coming from, at least, if you do disagree with us. Understand that I'm more middle of the road. There's a good chance I might agree with a lot of what you say, even if you do disagree with me. Does that make me an indecisive person?
I don't know. If you comment and you start your thing bitching about one side or the other side, we're probably going to make fun of you. Because both sides to us are equally retarded.
Fanaticism for the sake of fanaticism is just not going to help anybody. Gotta listen, gotta learn. That's what being diversive is actually about. Haha.
You mean I can change my mind about something?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And if nothing else, you can follow us on Twitter, PrinnyCast, or you can contact us with email at prinnycast@gmail.com. You can apparently still hate mail Mike at prinnymike@hotmail.com. He likes me to plug that one for some reason. And links to everything else is down in the description box. Mike may not be back next week. It depends on how long it gets him to settle into the new place, because it's not just the mosquitoes. It's a full-on move. So, we gotta edit, post.
See you next time.
Later, dudes.